Sometimes in fantasy football, we really just don't know anything, and we're never going to be on top of the game. Case in point, Justin Fields the last 2 weeks. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss with a Thursday night football wrap up. Also, today is Football Friday, so make sure you tune into the live stream later on today around 4 o'clock Eastern Time. All right, so last night, all week we were talking about it, how this Bears Commanders game, even though it was against two of the weaker teams in the NFL, it was going to probably result in a lot of fantasy points because of the lack of defense from both teams. And it lived up to its billing, especially when it came to Justin Fields and, my goodness, DJ Moore. So let's start with Justin Fields. So really a pariah of the fantasy football community the first 2 weeks of the season, 16-plus fantasy points, bad attitude, calling out coaching staff, teams not winning, only putting up points in garbage time, just not progressing at all, throwing the ball, not nearly running as much either. And it looked like Fields 2 weeks into the season was a colossal bust. Well, the light flipped on last week when he threw 4 touchdowns against the Denver Broncos. Even though he lost the game, yes, he threw an interception and fumble, but the confidence seemed to come back. And then last night, my goodness, unbelievable stuff. 15 to 29, 282 yards, 4 more passing touchdowns. So that's 8 passing touchdowns in the last 2 weeks for a guy who has had pronounced problems throwing the football. Fields also ran, a decent amount as well, picking up 57 yards on the ground. 40 fantasy points altogether. Just a blockbuster way to start off your week. If you did have him in the lineup, hopefully you did. I know people got shy after week 2. Some people benched him for week 3 against Denver. But listen, I don't know what's gone on in terms of Fields meeting with Luke Getsy, maybe designing the offense a little differently. It didn't look that much different. I mean, there were some more designed runs baked in, 11 carries here in this game. Maybe that opened things up a little bit more. But right from the jump on this game, Fields was chucking it down the field to DJ Moore. It wasn't even like he was running right out of the gate, which softened up the defense. He was chucking it down the field. He just seems more confident now, and it's almost like it's just, F it, I'm just going to wing it down the field and just see what happens, and it's working. So, if you're a Justin Fields owner now, you have to feel a lot more comfortable. Now, speaking of DJ Moore, we all know the story with DJ Moore. Supreme wide receiver 1 ability player who has had nothing but quarterback, garbage throughout his still relatively young career, with the Carolina Panthers, and even, looked the first couple of weeks of this season with Justin Fields. Well, DJ Moore went nuts last week, and he really showed, again, on ability, he is a wide receiver 1. He has everything you want. He could win at all 3 levels: speed, great hands, athletic ability, you name it, he's got it. 8 catches for 230 yards, 3 touchdowns, 49 fantasy points. He's Tyreek Hill, right, in this game? So DJ Moore, who was big again last week, huge again this week. If you're a DJ Moore owner, you got to be, you're like a pig in mud this morning, just basking in glory, because that's how awesome he was yesterday. 2 weeks in a row with this, with Fields and Moore. So they have a good thing going now, and they're just going to continue to highlight this from the coaching staff for sure. Why wouldn't you? So DJ Moore, who, the opportunity looked good going to Chicago, even though they were not a heavy passing volume team, the last couple of years. But it's a narrow target tree, and Moore is really benefiting. Also benefiting Cole Kmet. This game was the value tight end game of the year, all right? So in a season where we've had an unbelievable amount of busts so far, and I'm just saying through 4 weeks. George Kittle has gone bust through 4 weeks. Darren Waller's gone bust through 4 weeks. Dallas Goedert has gone bust through 4 weeks, right? Pat Freiermuth has gone bust through 4 weeks, all right? Mark Andrews had a big game last week. The first 3 weeks was not very good. So all of the top tight ends who we were drafting, the first, 5, 6, 7 guys, almost all of them have gone bust. Even Travis Kelce has not come anywhere near the standard he put up forth last season. But in this game, Cole Kmet, 5 for 42 and a touchdown. It's 3 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. And then how about Logan Thomas, 9 for 77 and a touchdown. Logan Thomas is taking off now in this Commanders offense. But getting back to the Bears, so Cole Kmet, he should have been picked up by now. He's an every week play for the time being. You got to ride this out just to see where it goes. He scored 7 touchdowns last year. He's scoring touchdowns again this year. And a tight end, that's the biggest thing, is getting touchdowns from your tight end, right? I mean, because A lot of these tight ends you stream, you're just hoping for a touchdown. Well, Komet's giving you touchdowns every week now, sometimes two. All right, now as far as the Commanders are concerned, so Sam Howell, the volume certainly was there. 31 of 57, 388 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Also ran for 19 yards. So he's not really running as much as I thought he was going to run, but the passing volume, they had to play catch up. So they were chucking it all over the place in the second half, but he was up to the task. So Sam Howell, he's still taking way too many sacks. Like David Carr, Houston Texans, as a rookie kind of sack numbers. But he played good against the Eagles last week, played good here, the second half especially. And I think in a super flex league, he absolutely is an every week guy. And in standard leagues, one quarterback leagues rather, he's at least a top backup. The problem falling behind so early is that they couldn't run the football. So Brian Robinson, 6 carries for 10 yards. Oh my God. I mean, just brutal. Antonio Gibson, not even a carry. Robinson didn't catch 4 passes, which in a PPR league, I guess mildly saves the day, but not much. And even Terry McLaurin, only 4 catches in this game, coming off a nice game against the Eagles, didn't really do much. But Curtis Samuel, second game in a row now with 18 plus fantasy points, 6 for 65 and a touchdown. And of course, this is a typical fantasy football story, right, guys? Yours truly. I needed a wide receiver with the buys this week, and I had picked up Curtis Samuel earlier in the day. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play Curtis Samuel tonight. It's a good matchup. Against the Bears. Bears don't stop anybody. And then, later in the day, I switched it out. I took Samuel out of the lineup, and I put Tank Dell in because I just figured Tank Dell has has had 2 huge weeks in the last 3 weeks. And I just felt a little bit better about Tank Dell. Well, I woke up this morning, so I didn't watch the second half of the game because it was really not competitive in the first half. Honestly, really, 2 teams that are not that great. But I woke up this morning and I saw that the Commanders scored 20 points. I'm like, I can, without even looking, I can guarantee you that Curtis Samuel scored a touchdown. Just because I picked him up yesterday and I didn't play him. And sure as shit, he scored, right? I mean, we've all been there, right? I mean, it's just so aggravating in fantasy football. You pick a guy up and then you off the waiver wire, you play him. He does nothing. You pick him up and then you don't play him and he goes crazy. So, that's just the name of the game. I just can't stand it sometimes. It's just annoying. All right, guys. Make sure you tune in today for the live stream later on this afternoon. I will see all of you then. Have a great day.